Okay, let's talk about generative AI. You hear about it everywhere, right? It's the talk of the town in the business world, and companies are throwing, billions of dollars at it. But here's the thing. Underneath all that hype, there's a really different story taking shape. A story of, well, widespread failure. So we're going to dig in and find out exactly why.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at what's being called the 2025 AI gold rush. Then, we'll get into this massive gap it's creating, the great GenAI divide. After that, we'll break down why so many of these AI projects are failing. And of course, we'll talk about the playbook for actually succeeding and what this all means for the future of your workforce.
All right, let's dive into part one, the 2025 AI gold rush. And gold rush is the perfect way to describe it. The pressure on business leaders right now to get on the AI train it's immense. It's being framed as a total make or break moment for your entire career. Check out this quote from PwC. It really just hits the nail on the head. For anyone in a leadership position, the message couldn't be clearer. This isn't just about making things a little more efficient. Getting AI right could literally define your professional life and shape the entire business landscape for years, maybe even decades to come. And we're not talking about small bets here. The stakes are absolutely enormous. We're looking at, according to MIT, somewhere between $30 and $40 billion that companies are pumping into generative AI, all in the hopes of unlocking these incredible gains in productivity. Okay, so you've got the pressure, you've got the money, everything seems to be in place. But this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. Let's pull back the curtain on this gold rush and talk about the reality, what we're calling the great GenAI divide. So you have to ask, right? With all that cash being thrown around, is any of it actually working? With billions of dollars on the table, you'd be expecting some pretty spectacular results. But the data? Yeah, the data is telling a completely different story. Get ready for this number, because it should honestly stop every single business leader in their tracks. 95%. According to that same MIT research, 95% of organizations are getting zero, I'm going to say that again, zero, return on their GenAI investments. It's just gone. This is the great divide. It's a massive, massive chasm between the very few who are winning and, well, pretty much everyone else. So you might be wondering, where does it all fall apart? Well, it happens in this huge gap between the pilot phase and actually putting something into production. Think about it. Tons of companies are playing around with AI, exploring ideas, but very few of those ideas even make it to a pilot. And from that small group, only a tiny, tiny fraction, just 5%, ever gets rolled out and used for real. That insane drop-off you see? That's the GenAI divide. Okay, so why? Why is this happening? What is causing this absolutely colossal disconnect between the promise and the reality? Let's get into the diagnosis and figure out why most of these AI pilots just fail. It turns out that a lot of what we think we know about AI in business is, well, it's just wrong. People talk about slow adoption or legal getting in the way, but that's not the real barrier. The real problem is something much, much deeper, something fundamental. And here it is. This is the core villain of our whole story. It's called the learning gap. See, most AI tools that companies buy are basically static. They're frozen in time, they don't learn from your feedback, they don't remember the context of your last conversation, and they sure can't adapt to how you actually work. And that makes them pretty much useless for the messy, complex reality of a real job. And the data totally backs this up. When you look at the biggest hurdles to getting AI to scale, they all point right back to this learning gap. People not wanting to adopt a new tool, it's not because they're stubborn. It's because they're rejecting a dumb tool that doesn't learn. Complaints about a bad user experience or the quality of the model. That's what happens when the AI is basically a goldfish, constantly forgetting what you just told it. And it's not just the learning gap. There's another huge piece of this puzzle, a deep, deep lack of trust. You've got all these other risks floating around, things like bias from bad data or the whole black box problem. If you can't even explain how an AI came to a conclusion, how on earth are you supposed to trust it with your business? This quote from a lawyer really just says it all. Listen to this. Her company dropped a ton of money, we're talking thousands, on some specialized AI tool. But what does she use? The regular consumer stuff. And why? It's simple. Flexibility. She says she can guide the conversation, she can iterate, she can go back and forth until she gets what she needs. It's a feedback loop. And that's something the super expensive, super rigid enterprise tool just couldn't do.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, right? This learning gap is the reason that 95% of companies are completely stuck. So the big question is, what are the other 5% doing? What's their secret? Let's open up their playbook and see how you can actually cross this divide. First up, a really critical decision every company has to make. Do you build your own AI from scratch, or do you buy a solution? Well, the data is pretty clear in this one. Companies that try to go it alone and build in-house, they fail way, way more often. The winners, the 5%, they're partnering with outside vendors. They buy a solution, and then they customize it. You see, they're focused on using AI to get better at their business, not trying to become an AI company themselves.
So when these smart companies go shopping for AI, what are they asking for? It's not a longer list of features, that's for sure. Their priorities are laser-focused on solving that learning gap. The absolute top of their list is demanding a system that can actually learn and get better over time. And they want it from a vendor they trust, one who actually takes the time to understand how their business works. So here it is, the 3-step playbook to join that successful 5%. Step 1, do a real formal strategy assessment. Figure out where AI is actually going to move the needle for you, not just where it's cool to have it. Step 2, take a less is more approach with your data. Don't try to boil the ocean. Focus on specific, high-quality chunks of data first. And step 3, this is huge. Measure your success using actual business metrics, KPIs, revenue, customer satisfaction, not just some abstract AI benchmark.
All right, so for our final part, let's look to the future. For the companies that actually manage to cross this divide, what comes next isn't about replacing people. It's about building a whole new kind of workforce, an AI workforce.
So I want you to meet your new teammates, AI agents. And no, these aren't just fancy tools. Think of them as actual digital workers. They can handle tasks all on their own. Things like managing routine emails, handling customer inquiries, or even knocking out a first draft of software code. And the potential here is staggering. Some experts predict they could effectively double the capacity of your knowledge workforce. But here's something you might not expect. The biggest financial wins, the fastest return on investment, it's not happening in flashy front office sales teams. It's coming from the back office. The real winners are using AI to slash spending on expensive external agencies and BPOs, business process outsourcers. They're bringing all that work back in-house and letting their new digital agents handle it. And all of this is building towards a really fascinating kind of sci-fi concept for the future, the agentic web. Just try to picture this for a second. Instead of all our separate, siloed apps, imagine a web of interconnected AI agents. Agents that can discover each other, negotiate with each other, and coordinate tasks, all without a human in the loop. It's a fundamental shift away from us directing the work to a world of autonomous coordination. So, as we wrap this up, the key takeaway is this. AI isn't really an if anymore. The transformation is coming one way or another. The only real question left is, which side of this great divide are you going to be on? Will you be part of the 95% that invests and gets nothing back? Or will you be in the 5% that cracks the learning gap and actually starts building the future? The choice really is yours.